Murder has been a subject of great fear and curiosity throughout human history. While many societies accept murder as the greatest crime, the laws regarding it have been shaped in different ways throughout history. The law of murder is more than just a crime. It is also a reflection of a society's moral, cultural, and legal values. So, what is the real meaning of the murder law? In this video, we will discover the history of murder, how the laws are shaped, the interesting and exotic aspects of murder laws in different cultures, as well as unknown and surprising information about murder. If you're ready, let's dive deeper into murder law. What is murder? Basic definitions and differences. Murder means when a person deliberately kills another person. However, murder is not just the act of killing. There are different types and degrees of this crime in the legal context. In general, murders can be classified as first-degree murder, second-degree murder, and voluntary manslaughter. First-degree murder, committed deliberately, plannedly, and often in a brutal manner. It is subject to high criminal sanctions. Second-degree murder, although intentional, it is usually less planned and usually results from a moment of anger or conflict. Manslaughter. This type of murder refers to a situation that causes a person to die, although it is not intentional. It usually occurs in a moment of anger or emotional situations, such as loss of control. The definition of murder varies in different legal systems, and therefore the criminal sanctions also vary. However, at some point, all systems interfere with human life. It emphasizes the value given and its protection. Homicide laws have evolved significantly throughout history. In ancient societies, murder was more than a punishment. It was also a matter of honor. For example, in ancient Rome, killing a person meant a great collapse and disruption of order in society. Murder was seen more as a blood feud and was generally considered a matter for families to resolve among themselves. Murder laws in Egypt. In ancient Egypt, murder laws were quite harsh. Pharaoh's laws took into account not only the act of killing, but also the motivation for killing. The reasons behind killing someone were punished according to the degree to which they threatened the order of society. In Egypt, being a murderer did not just mean being a criminal, but also threatening the order of the family and society. Murder laws in Greece and Rome. In ancient Greece and Rome, there was a specific legal system for murder. Greeks take murder cases to court, and religious rituals such as suicide or self-punishment were sometimes used for murder. The system in Rome subjected situations such as killing in war or self-defense to lighter penalties. However, wrongful killing was severely punished. In the Middle Ages, crimes of murder were often interpreted as going against the will of God. During this period, a person who committed a murder had not only legal responsibility but also religious responsibility. For this reason, many murder cases in the Middle Ages were solved under the supervision of the Church. Wrath of God. In the Middle Ages, especially in Western Europe, the person who committed murder was punished not only physically, but also spiritually. Criminals who feared God's wrath were threatened with eternal punishment for murder. That's why criminals sometimes appeared in court with the hope of not only physical but also spiritual salvation. Today, murder laws have become more systematic and complex. However, some countries around the world still resort to old and exotic methods. These practices reveal differences in legal systems and cultural traditions. Singapore and punishment methods. Singapore is a country where murder penalties are extremely harsh. In the country, the death penalty can be applied to a person who commits murder. However, a striking feature is that when crimes such as drug dealing are committed along with murder, the penalties become much harsher. For example, when a murder is committed together with the crime of drug possession, certain traditional methods are applied to the murderer at the time of execution. Singapore aims to reduce crime rates with such tough laws. law of retaliation in the Arabian Peninsula. In Saudi Arabia, there is the law of retaliation, an eye for an eye. This law requires punishment for a person's crime against the perpetrator of the same crime. For example, the person who committed a murder, the victim's family may have the right to be killed by. However, this is not always implemented. The family may choose to abandon the feud in return. Murder and blood feud in Vikings. Vikings did not only see murder as a crime, but also a matter of honor. If a Viking was killed, his family and clan would declare a blood feud to find and punish the murderer. This feud was not only a legal matter, but also a matter of honor. In such cases, blood feud defense could be made even in the courts. To understand the true meaning of murder laws, we must also address the psychological aspects of this crime. Why do people kill others? Factors such as revenge, anger, psychological disorders, stress, and sometimes even cultural norms can reinforce the idea of murder in a killer's mind. However, committing murder is much more than just a psychological problem. Committing society's most serious crime creates a great collapse in the psychological, moral, and social world of people. The true meaning of murder laws is not just a crime. Murder involves many factors, from the value judgments of a society to how the legal system works, from the moral understanding of individuals to the power of the state. The murder laws we have today have been shaped over a long historical process and evolved in line with the changing needs of societies. Murder has always been a major crime, but how this crime is punished has become diverse and complex over time under the influence of cultures, religions, and social norms. In ancient times, a murder was not only the death of an individual, but also an act that threatened the order of society. Therefore, many cultures treated the act of killing not only with law, but also with religious and moral rules. From the pharaohs in Egypt to the courts in Greece, from the Roman Empire to the Middle Ages, murder and its punishment were closely tied to the values of societies. During this period, people often viewed murders as part of God's wrath or fate. Today, murder laws are based on a more scientific and systematic basis. Modern legal systems do not view murder as merely an act of killing. It also evaluates the offender's intent, motivation, and how they handled the situation. The degrees and penalties for the crime of murder have constantly changed, depending on how societies have developed, how much technology has advanced, and how deep scientific understanding has become. But the important point here is that murder laws do not exist just to punish criminals. Murder laws represent the conscience of societies. The value placed on human life is the most important indicator of how civilized, fair, and respectful of human rights a society is. Rather than viewing murder as merely an individual crime, societies often view murder as a threat to the general moral structure, security, and order of the society. Accepts. Therefore, murder laws play a critical role not only in ensuring justice, but also in building the moral and ethical structure of society. However, exotic murder laws in different cultures around the world also reveal different understandings of justice and social values. Examples such as the death penalty in Singapore, the law of retaliation in Saudi Arabia, or the blood feud of the Vikings show that murder laws are not just a legal text, but also a dynamic phenomenon shaped by the history, culture, religious beliefs, and social structures of the society. In many cultures, the way a murder is committed has much more meaning than just a crime. In some cases, the act of killing may be a social reaction, a matter of honor, or deliberate revenge. On the other hand, in some cultures, a murder may be considered not only in a legal sense, but also as a religious atonement or a moral obligation. In short, murder. Its laws are about much more than how justice is achieved. It is a mirror that reflects the lifestyles, beliefs, and value judgments of societies. Today, murder is subject to strict laws and controls in most societies. However, when we look at the development of these laws, we see that each of them is actually nourished by the cultural, religious, and philosophical thought structures of different societies. The historical evolution of murder laws is a story that contains both the darkest and brightest aspects of human history. And ultimately, murder laws are not just about an individual crime. They also show the conscience, culture, and level of development of societies. The search for justice within the law continues to remind us of how valuable human life is in every period of human history. In this video, we delve into the depths of murder laws and explain how legal processes, cultural differences, and social structures come together to show that murder is neither just a crime nor just a crime. We tried to show that it is a legal issue. Homicide law is also an opportunity for each of us to better understand the value of life and the gravity of death. Preventing murder is not just about punishing criminals. It is also about questioning how healthy our conscience is as a society. Finally, understanding the true meaning of murder law is not limited to law classes. This is also a door to understanding the social structure and the basic values of humanity. Although each culture and society has chosen different ways to deal with murder, the ultimate goal is to protect human life and achieve justice. How laws work and the ways in which murder is punished show how different and yet how similar each culture around the world is. Thank you for watching this video. I hope that by diving deeper into the laws of murder, you have gained new information on this important subject. If you liked the video, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications. Also, you can share your thoughts with us in the comments. What topics would you like to learn more about? We look forward to your comments. I wish everyone a healthy and safe day.